A video game giant tries a new technology. It becomes its worst failure. Let's take a look at the Nintendo Virtual Boy.
It came from the third dimension with its own brain, its own voice, its own legs. There's only one problem. It needs your eyes. Virtual Boy. See it now in 3D.
What's up, YouTube? Linuxfanman back with another episode of Let's Take a Look At. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at this thing right here, the Nintendo Virtual Boy. We'll be looking at the history of it, what's inside, what makes it tick. We'll be taking a 360 tour, kind of showing you the ins and outs of the system itself. And then usually what I do is I power these things on and kind of do some gameplay with video capture, but unfortunately with this, there's not really a way to do it. So we'll go ahead and hop right into emulation and show you a little bit of gameplay with this. Also, in between each segment, I usually put commercials in with my videos, but since this thing didn't have much of a lifespan, there wasn't very many commercials I could find for it. But I do have a few in here for you guys to watch. And then at the very end of the video, I do my conclusion, my thoughts, and my experience with the system. So let's go ahead and take a look.
The story of the Nintendo Virtual Boy actually starts in the mid-1980s with the company named Reflection Technology Incorporated. They created a stereoscopic head-tracking prototype called Private Eye, which featured a tank game. Needing funds to support their business ambitions, they went to the Consumer Electronics Show. There, they showed their Private Eye off to several companies including Mattel, Sega, and Hasbro. All those companies declined, but one company in particular showed interest in the Private Eye prototype, and that was Nintendo. Gunpei Yokoi, which was the inventor of the Game & Watch and Game Boy, led engineering R&D 1 group of Nintendo. He thought the oscillating mirror display technology was cutting edge. Negotiations started and Nintendo came to a licensing agreement with Reflection Technology to use their display technology in their new game console. After years of development, the head tracking technology was dropped due to health implications to the people using it, but Nintendo kept the stereoscopic display technology. After several different colors and also a full color display was tested, it was found that the red and black screen was cheaper to produce and easier on the eye for the user. Nintendo predicted the console to be a big seller, even opening a new factory in China specifically for the production of the Virtual Boy. Nintendo predicted over 3 million units sold over Christmas time and over 16 million units of software sold by that time as well. It was debuted at the 1995 E3 and CES shows, but already the reviews were starting to look bad. Many people at the shows that tried out the new console complained of headaches and eye strain. The Virtual Boy was released in Japan on July 21, 1995, and in North America on August 16, 1995, at a price of $179.95. There were 4 launch games that coincided with its release: Mario Tennis, Red Alarm, Tellero Boxer, Galactic Pinball. After its release, there were several complaints from parents about headaches and eye strain from children. Even though the console warned users to take breaks, kids just didn't listen. Imagine that. Sales of the console plummeted. Nintendo tried dire promotions to show off the 3D capabilities as opposed to 2D console games, but this marketing tactic failed as well. After the Christmas season of 1995 and the slow sales of the Virtual Boy, Nintendo decided to discontinue production of the console and games. I'm not really sure the exact date that it was discontinued, but I believe it had about an 11-month lifespan. This was Nintendo's worst console failure, selling only 770,000 units in total.
He had the moves, the punches, the fire. But there was one thing he would never have: a way out. Virtual Boy presents more challenges inside the third dimension. Mario Tennis, Tellero Boxer, Red Galactic Pinball. Virtual Boy, a 3D game for a 3D world. Wanna play?
The hardware for the Virtual Boy is actually quite impressive. It was truly a 32-bit console. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chips and what was inside of it. The CPU was a 32-bit NEC V810 RISC processor, which ran at 20 MHz. It had 32 32-bit registers and a 32-bit address and a 5-stage pipeline, and 1 kilobyte of level 1 cache. The graphics were supplied by Nintendo's own custom VPU chip, or Video Processing Unit. This was quite an interesting chip in its own. It could output to 2 displays at 384 by 224 pixels at a rate of 50.27 Hz. Now, what made this unique is that the display was only 224 red LEDs in a row, but because of the oscillating mirror technology inside the display, it almost acted like scan lines on a CRT TV, tricking the human eye into seeing the whole image, and basically making us all motion sick and giving us headaches at the same time. The VPU can actually be divided into 3 separate chips inside of one. One is the pixel processor, 2 is the display processor, and 3 would be the interface. The pixel processor creates the pixels and sends it to the interface to be stored, while the interface works with the CPU, DRAM, VRAM, and also the display processor. The display processor sends the signal out to the scanner to display the picture on the oscillating display. Pretty cool piece of technology, but maybe not as refined as it should have been to be going out to the consumer market. Now, the sound was handled by Nintendo's own Virtual Sound Unit, or VSU for short. This chip was very closely related to what was being ran in the PC Engine at the time. The chip was capable of producing 5 sound channels along with 1 noise channel. Each sound channel, or wave, was made up of 32 PCM samples and output 10-bit stereo sound at 41.7 kHz. Now, let's dive into the memory on the motherboard. There are 3 memory chips that we'll go over just real quick. First is Nintendo's own VRAM chip, which is named the VRM-VUE and is 128 kilobytes of VRAM. Next is the Toshiba TC51604BJ08. This was 128 kilobytes of DRAM. The last RAM chip on the board is the Toshiba TC511632FL70. This is 64 kilobytes of pseudo-RAM.
It's a 3D adventure which puts Mario to the test through a towering maze chock full of evil enemies. It's Mario Clash for your Virtual Boy. There are hazards at every turn as you grab shells and fling them at frantic opponents like Thorny, Big Boo, and Paragoomba. The pace gets hotter as you battle in dangerous rooms on narrow ledges connected by pipes. It's Mario Clash for your Virtual Boy. A 3D game for a 3D world.
Alright guys, so let's take a look at an actual Virtual Boy. So, essentially, it kind of looks like a modern day VR headset, kind of. Obviously, you put your face in here, you got the 2 lenses there, and I don't know if you can actually kind of see, like, through the mirrors and the screens in there, but that's where the displays are. Here is your actual focus button, so like if you're nearsighted, farsighted, or whatever, and take your glasses off, you can adjust it. And then this is what they call inner pupil distance, or IPD, or some crap like that. I forgot what they called it. I think that's what it was. But what it does is measure the distance between your eyeballs, basically, and makes it so that the 2 images line up when you're looking through it. So that's what that does. Alright guys, so nothing on the back really besides the cartridge port. Let's see if I can take this thing out. What do I got in there? Oh, Red Alarm. That's actually one of my favorite games on this. We'll be seeing that later on. Alright guys, so, and then also on the bottom here, if you guys can see, there is the controller port. That's where the controller plugs in. And then you have this EXT port. Basically what that is actually a serial port to be able to link 2 of these things together and be able to play games with a second player. So that's pretty much it for the system. So here's the controller. Now,
it's kind of cool that this controller has, it's kind of like, it's got the triggers back here, the dual D-pads instead of analog sticks. Then the buttons here, the A and B button, start and select, and then here's the actual on and off switch to be able to turn the unit on and off. Now also on the controller was, on this one, the battery pack, but the person that had this before me actually modded it and has a power adapter going to it, so those wires are actually soldered straight on. So I guess they got sick of going through AA batteries there, because this thing will suck down the batteries, I'll tell you that. But you got to think, it's got 2 displays and it's got those motors in there running all the time, oscillating those mirrors to give you the display, plus the sound, plus the CPU and the video chip. So yeah, it's pretty power hungry. But anyway, guys, this is usually where I power it up and show you guys, but let's go ahead and hop right into emulation and kind of show you some gameplay of this thing.
Welcome to Space World. Let's go.
husband. All right, guys, so we've come to the end of the video, and this is kind of where I give my thoughts and my impressions on the system. Now, I did end up getting the system at Christmas in 1995 from my parents, and I was excited to get it because just the way they kind of marketed it, virtual reality was this big thing with the Lawnmower Man coming out, the movie about VR and other things. So everybody was kind of stoked about the Nintendo, and I can see where Nintendo might have thought that they would sell a ton of these units. So I ended up getting mine, and it was on Christmas Day. Got it, started playing it, and yeah, it was cool, but it was in 3D, but it wasn't really like virtual reality like you would think it was. And then you had to like do this thing on the table and you put your eyes up against it and you're playing it, and it's just completely uncomfortable to play. In fact, the best way I found to play the Virtual Boy is laying on your back, putting the Virtual Boy sitting on your face and having the feet down here resting on your chest and playing it like that. That's probably the most comfortable way of playing it. And after a while, it gets heavy on your head anyway, so there's really no comfortable way of playing the video game system. If they would have made it to where it could strap on your head, like, you know, a modern day VR headset, that would have worked out much better. But really, that's about all I got to say. I didn't know anybody else that had a Virtual Boy. I was the only person, and nobody really played it. So it's just one of those systems that kind of faded in obscurity and history, you know. So that's why I kind of wanted to make a video of it, just to show everybody about it, what was in it, and the fact that it was like a true 32-bit console. That's pretty amazing. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to thank you guys once again and all my subscribers out there for subbing and everybody watching me. You guys are the ones that support this channel, so let's go ahead and keep everything up. All right. You guys have a great one. Peace out.